Well, we'll go ahead and get started. And if we have some stragglers, that'll be fine too. So before we get started, I always like to ask if there's something specific that you want to mastermind around to help your business. Remember, we're looking into going into 2024. Who remembers? Like, I've kind of put it out there. What's our theme for 2024?
2024, excuses no more.
No
There
excuse.
it is. There it is. That is not to make anybody feel bad. I know when we think, when we say some of the bold laws and we say certain things like reasons or results, you can't have both, right? Sometimes people feel bad because they think that, oh, we're picking on them or things like that. That is not at all the case. The case is to help the mindset. We can't change the past. We can only change what we do moving forward, right? And you guys just had, I'm talking West Ventura County just had their market update with Albert last week, and things are projected to look up into next year. Right now, we still got a little ways to go. That means we still have some work to do. I wanted to share with you some things today from a mastermind that I was in with my coach, as well as some other top coaches that he coaches. And so I'm going to be doing that. But first, let me hear from you guys what it is that you need help with or would like to mastermind around. Val?
Yes. I have had I think I even posted in the WhatsApp chat. I've had a seller reach out to me that I met like 8 months ago, door knocking. I'd been checking in with him periodically. And he's an investor, so he has a couple of properties, but mom and pop investors. So he has a couple of rentals in town. And he had been fixing up the house. And then, so he was like, oh yeah, can you come over and show me some comps? And I did the whole thing on the phone, but he was kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I did the pre-qualifying questions and all. But yeah, so he was like, yeah, just let me know what do you think this would sell for, and then I have to run it by my CPA. Yeah. Anyways, but then I'm there, and then the conversation was quite a bit different. All of a sudden he switched to I was there. I had my whole, I had the whole folder and everything, and then the conversation switched to, yeah. So I really don't need to sell. I'm just thinking about whether it makes sense to sell. From a tax perspective, or I can just continue renting. And then he's like, well, I only want to sell if it's, if I can sell over market value. I don't want to sell at market. And if that's what you want to do, then I don't want to waste your time. I really don't want to waste your time. And I was like, okay, well, I'm here. Let's start with that. And also, okay, what's market value for you? And we both agreed on what market is, 800,000. And then he was like, yeah, but I only want to sell if I can sell for 900,000. And I'm like, well, I can't promise you that. So I was having all the tough conversations with him. And I think I stood my ground in terms of what I think the house would sell for and what's realistic. And so now the question is, should I take a listing that I think is very overpriced just to get the practice and to get the exposure? It's in my farm, it's in my neighborhood, or should I not waste my time and spend my time lead generating other things?
I would say yes. And now there would be a market where I would say no, or not necessarily. So to take a overpriced listing really depends on a few things. First of all, how overpriced. $100,000 in that market's probably not that bad, given we're getting offers at $50,000 and $100,000 over asking price, right? And if you were to list it, you'd list it at market value, or what comps are telling you the current market value is, right? Market value, and I'm sure you had this conversation, but market value isn't just what the comps say. It isn't what we think the value is. It's what somebody's willing to pay, right? Mm-hmm. And so if this is in your farm and it's going to give you exposure, then absolutely. Because if somebody calls and it says, oh, wow, that's so overpriced. Yeah, you can be very honest and say, yes, I'm well aware it's overpriced. I've had that conversation.
Are you going to call
with my seller.
that one client?
Oh, shit.
Anthony.
You yourself, Anthony.
Yep. Okay. getting the exposure right now and the lead generation opportunities that it's going to give you. You have open house opportunities. So what if it's overpriced, that you have access to everything where you can help them find something in their price range, right? So I think given the current market, it would be a really good idea to take that listing.
I think to me, it felt like, we're trained to stand our ground when it comes to not like lowballing like commission, and I was like, well, if I really think that that's, I think 850, yes, maybe, but 900 just seems so overpriced. So I was like, well, if I really like, that's kind of integrity thing too, right? And also I don't want to look like I can't do my comps. Like, other experienced agents are going to walk in there and like, what are you doing? Like, are you, whose
No.
sisters like and are you that got to list this house, and when did you get your license?
So
And those are things to consider, right? And there are some markets and some price ranges, I would say those are considerations. If you tried to list a house in Tulare County $100,000 over, that would be a huge consideration because prices aren't that high there. But in your market, you're getting offers that are 50 and 100,000 and more over asking price. So given that, I don't think it makes you look bad. I think and you never know what'll happen, right? You can get an offer, you can list it at 900, get an offer at 850. Well, it's over the 800, so he's likely to at that point then start looking at that or considering that, right? And he doesn't have to, but you're still getting the exposure and the experience. So, and the lead generation opportunities, the open house opportunities, and it's not so overpriced in your market.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And
I was thinking that
remember,
too, like if
Jodi,
yeah, sorry.
I was gonna ask Val, did you talk to him about pricing strategies? Like maybe even listing it at 850 or the highest comp, getting some eyes on the property and trying to get the 900?
Yeah, I did all the things. I talked to him about, but he was like, well, but I don't have to sell. Like if I can't get 900, I'm just not going to sell it. I was like, well, I prefer pricing and, generating a bidding war and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, I've bought and sold properties before. In my experience, agents always want to underprice because agents want to make sure it sells. And to you, 3% of 100,000 is $3,000 more or less, but you still get the main chunk of your commission. To me, 100,000 more or less is a lot of money. So in my experience, agents always want to underprice so that they get their commission for sure. And I was like, well, I also don't want to be known for over promising and under delivering, right? Like as long as we're transparent about, I don't want to, I don't want anyone to think that I'm promising things that I can't make happen.
Yeah, listed at 9.
Yeah, and I think
let
as
him
long
see it
as
on his own.
yeah, as long as you're being very clear with him that you feel that's high, let him know you'll list it. But take the listing for a month instead of 6 months or whatever, and give you that opportunity to see what happens, or take it for 2 months, do something reasonable, right?
Yeah.
2 or 3 months.
Yeah, he didn't argue staging and he didn't argue commission. Really just price.
Yeah. And a seller that's being unrealistic, like I said, at 900,000, if he gets an offer at 850 and you've both agreed market's 8, if he gets anything over 8, he's probably going to entertain the offer.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. Maybe we get 875 and then maybe he's going to say yes, right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
that really only says yes at 900.
Yeah, yeah. And then you hold an open house at that with that price or whatever, and people start coming in and saying that, well, I like the house, but it's overpriced, and then start giving you those offers. Yeah, it'll open his eyes up, and it's not just coming straight from you. So it makes you look correct to that client as well. But man, that's opening up especially if it's in your farm. Just let everybody in the neighborhood say it's over, and he says, yeah, but or just tell them, yeah.
Yeah, and then I'm known to be the lady that can't price her houses. Like, are you sure you want to list with her? She couldn't get that house sold. She's the one with the expired listing.
But remember, who prices the home?
Yeah. Well, I got to put the price in the MLS though. So
yeah, but it's the seller that dictates the price, right? Based on your recommendation. And there's nothing wrong with you saying my recommendation was this, but he was insistent on this. So given that we do get offers, well over asking price, we thought we'd give it a shot. And I mean, check out your MLS, check out agents in the office. They all do it. Now,
Yeah.
again, if it was $100,000 over what you feel market is when prices are $300,000 and $400,000, no way. Right.
I think it's also like if I had listed 10 houses in that neighborhood at a normal price and sold them, and this was number 11, I would feel different. But it's the first listing I would have in that neighborhood that I market in and door knock in. And I was just like, oh, really? I'm going to look like an idiot.
But
okay,
then again, do you want to throw away your first opportunity that can really get you going in your farm?
Yeah, that's true. So would you like, so we're scheduled to talk again on Friday, I think. I did say I'm gonna sleep on the price, and I'm gonna, like, I mean, we were joking, and I was like, yeah, I'll see, I'll sleep on it. Would you just, I mean, how would you come back from that, from me? I mean, just saying give it a try doesn't sound like I can sell your
Hey,
home.
let's do it. Hey, let's do it. Let's put it out there at 900 and see what happens. See if we can establish the market value at 900.
And yes, but I would preface that though, because if the market is currently saying 800, who knows, a month from now it could be 850, right? So I would say, you know what, I will go ahead and do this so long as you understand. I do feel that we're overpricing this, but I do want to help you get my job is to help you get the most money for your house, right? In the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle. What I want from you is your I don't know if you want to say guarantee, but your word that if we get anything over 800,000 that we've both agreed is the market price, that you will at least entertain those offers. Because I'm putting, huh?
And if he says no?
Well, I mean, then it's just tell him you're putting yourself on the line knowing that it's overpriced. And here's what I would do. I would address his concern about him in his experience, whatever that is, right? How many houses has he sold? What type of agents has he dealt with? Let him know that I appreciate your concern that you feel that agents underprice homes just to get them sold. Actually, a good agent is going to price your home on the lower end of the market of the comps, not to underprice it, but to get you the best offer, the most amount of money in the least amount of time. It's not to sell it quickly, because after all, I want to make as much money as I can too. Why would I try to sell your house for less?
Yeah, and I said that, I gave him exactly those words. I was like, I mean, I would love to get $1 million for this house. Amazing. Yeah, thank you.
So
yeah.
I would seriously consider moving forward with it under the circumstances, because the inventory is still so low. There's nothing out there. It could, start driving up market price a little bit.
And interest rates came down.
Yeah. So, like I said, given the market, given the circumstances, I don't think it's out of line for you to do.
Would you put anything in the listing agreement as far as, like, if we don't get any offers within 2 weeks, they're going to lower the value?
Yeah,
I normally would, but I didn't bring that up because it doesn't sound like that's
and he owns it outright. It's like, well, I can sit or I'll rent it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You could say something like, normally, if I agree to take a listing that I feel is overpriced, I put language in the listing agreement such that, if we don't have any activity or offers in X amount of time, usually I say 2 weeks, that we agree to lower the price to this. You could say 4 weeks and agree to lower it to 850. You can kind of, so, I mean, you can play with that. But if you think that's going to stop him from signing, I think you're in a market where you're okay to play with this one.
Yeah, and I mean, he's like, he kept like giving all these disclaimers about he doesn't need to sell and all those things, so he's yeah, I can't really get him to do much, I don't feel, but yeah, I do agree, it's probably it's better to list it than not to list it. And if someone else lists it and then they do get an offer at like 875 and then he takes it, then I'm going to be bummed that I didn't take it, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, he knows that he's actually going to do what he says he's going to do.
Yeah, and he'll likely call someone else if you don't do it, and they will list it and they'll probably sell it. So I would definitely do it on this one.
Okay.
Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I think it's a great opportunity for Valerie because this is like the end of the year, and next year are changes coming. I think that's what everybody is waiting for. So if rates go down, I mean, prices will go up for sure. So that is like a good opportunity for her to look around the neighborhood and to look for some other clients. And what other agent is going to do, what I see is that they keep waiting and waiting and waiting. It all depends on what the client needs to do, wants to do, but she can, she needs to be there when that owner is going to, make changes. So that is what other agent is going to do. So why not you, Valerie? I mean, this is different for you. This is a different scenario, but if you are the one that is going to be waiting for your client to make a change in his mind, then you need to be there. So it's a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do think it's a good opportunity. I just do want to give the caveat to particularly Justin and Demas, because you are in Tulare County and we're talking about overpricing a listing by approximately $100,000. Please don't do that in your market. You could take an overpriced listing at $30,000-$40,000 in this market, but so keep that in mind. Okay, the rest of you are in a market where this conversation makes sense, but just wanted to throw that little caveat out there.
Val, I had
principle, the
just a couple
conversation
of
makes
thoughts.
sense.
Sorry, Jodi. One is in the MLS under agent private remarks. You could always, in like capital letters, write, please submit all offers, with still keeping that fiduciary responsibility to the client. But from agent to agent, you would kind of read that as like, okay, they realize it's overpriced. And so you could do that. And then I'm wondering, almost, if I don't know, Jodi, your input would be good on this, having another agent in your office, just be like, I know we agree what market value is. Would you be open to a second agent giving you comps on it from my office that I work with? No strings attached, but just like a realistic view of, okay, they're coming up at this number as well. Let's move forward with what you want. I have a client that as well is like, well, once the market hits $1 million, then we'll list, and they're over that now, but they were firm on that for a really long time. And so, I think what Jodi's saying, like if they're under, then they get like excited that they're so close to it and they would be willing to accept. So anyway, my 2 cents.
Yeah, as far as and that's, Michelle, that's a good idea. In this case, I don't know that that's worth the effort just because of where his head is at. But like if you have a client that's on the fence and just thinks you're trying to lowball, then I think that would be a really good piece of advice. I don't think he thinks I don't know if he thinks you're doing that or not. Some more questions might be in line for that. But you could ask without telling him. You could ask somebody else to do the comps and see what they come up with.
I'm confident about the comps. And I know the comp, I know price per square footage. He had a couple of properties too where he was like, well, but that one just sold for $820 and that was way smaller. And I was like, yeah, and that's $1,300 per square foot. And I can tell you exactly why that is, because it's so we had that conversation. So I think he's not arguing the comps. He's arguing that a buyer can be found that is willing to pay 100,000 more because he likes the street. It's a good street, and because he likes other things. And
you could be
doesn't want to sell.
I mean, literally, you could be establishing the price market for 2024 in that neighborhood. I mean,
or I'll waste a bunch of my time and do that. And so, I mean,
because you're not going to waste any time because you're using that to establish and go talk to other people, and they'll know. Just use it, but make sure that you go out and generate more leads from it.
Yeah, it's not a waste of time.
Not even
if it doesn't sell, because of all the lead generation opportunities that you have. Your sign is in someone's yard, right? Mm-hmm. Your sign, you're going to get calls from that. The people who call you from the sign, they don't know what the price is. unless they
They're
call
gonna, they're
you,
gonna meet,
right?
they're gonna meet you, and you're gonna put a face to your name there too. Like you, I mean, if you go do your 30/30, or even that, that full neighborhood, once you put the sign in that yard, say, hey, come and see it. Hey, come and meet me. Hey, you're gonna make a lot of personal touches just by putting that in your yard, even if it doesn't sell. It's yeah. Don't, I mean, that's all a whole bunch of limited thoughts, man. I'd freaking just be on it and go put your name in there and run with it. That's just what
Yeah, I mean, but it is, I mean, he's a difficult person, and he's going to take my time. He's going to he doesn't do what I recommend. He wants me to execute what he wants, right? So I think I think I think there are just certain boundaries that I want to set for my own business, in terms of what I do. But I mean, I just don't, like, if I door knock and talk to the neighbors and they're like, what, you listed that for 900,000? Like, that's just not integrity. That's not, then
the owner feels like that. The
I
owner
can't
feels that's
sell.
what the house is worth.
Don't
The
interrupt
owner
me.
feels that's what the house is
Don't,
worth.
don't interrupt me.
Oh,
I can sell really good when I'm behind 100% behind my product. And I don't know that I can do that with that price at 900,000. I think, sales is about integrity, in my opinion. And I think that's what I'm struggling with. And I also don't want to run around and say, I don't think the owner is reasonable with his pricing, right? Like, that's backstabbing too. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's overpriced. That means either I can't talk to my buyer or I'm taking unreasonable clients. So, but I see what you're all saying. I think I should take it. But so.
Yeah. And it ultimately, Val, the decision's up to you. And the client and what you're going to have to deal with. So if you don't feel it's something worth your time, that's a different story. That's not based on this scenario, right? That adds other things to it, so that it has to be worth it to you to do. You're using the word integrity a lot, which I respect, and yet I don't think it's a lack of integrity to take an overpriced listing. Because reality shows up, and oftentimes a seller will come into reality once it's been on the market. But again, so here's where you can see if he's serious. He doesn't need to sell it. He wants to push the market. So if you're really questioning it and worried about that, I would say, I've thought about it, and here's what I'm willing to do. I do feel this is very overpriced. Could we get this price? Maybe. I cannot promise you that. So here's what I'm willing to do. I'll take the listing at 900,000. And if in 4 weeks you agree to lower it to 850, if we've had no activity and no offers.
Yeah, I think that's good. And Rufina was just put in the chat, ready, willing, and able. And I guess I'm wondering if he's actually willing, if he's actually willing to sell. Because if you're too unrealistic, it just means you're just not willing to do it, right?
So maybe even feel him out a little bit more in the qualifying, right? Of, okay, you said you want to list it at 900,000 because you want to get over market value. We've both agreed that currently the market is saying about 800,000. So if you get an offer at 850, are you willing to entertain that?
Mm-hmm.
Because any offer over what we're both agreeing is current market value, if you're willing to entertain that, I'm willing to do this with you. If you're not, then I might not be the right agent for you. I mean, whatever you want to do. But so there's some caveats you can put in there if you're worried about that. But to take, I know Brian Eisenhower would tell you all day long to take that listing.
And Mike Ferry would say, go and find someone that is ready, willing, and able to. Right? I mean, that's the different perspectives. Like, pre-qualify, is he realistic? Is he willing? And if not, move on, find better clients, right?
Here's the difference. If we were in a market where there was a lot of inventory and there weren't very many offers happening, I wouldn't at all tell you to take a listing $100,000 over. So part of what we may or may not do depends on the current market that we're in. So, 5 years ago, there's no way I'd be giving you this information or saying this. Now, ultimately, I'm not telling you what to do or not do. I'm giving you reasons why it would likely be a good idea to do this, because you're going to have a lot of lead generating opportunities from this.
Good. Yeah, no, I think I'll take it. I'll take it. But I'm gonna try a little harder to convince him to be open to at least signal that he would entertain 850 or 875.
Yeah, I would absolutely do that for sure.
Thanks.
Good conversation. Awesome. Okay, anything else before I bring up my topic? All righty. So I actually was in a mastermind today. I'm in one most Thursdays with my coach as well as all his top coaches. And there is new statistics that have come out based on our very current market as far as how many contacts we need to have in our database to have a six-figure income. So for a while, it's been said at least 201, right? Anything over 200. Well, in the current market that we're in, that number is now between 400 and 500. So I would encourage any of you that are very serious about making this business work to have at least 500 contacts in your database. That doesn't mean 500 names in your database. That means 500 names, addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses. Because if you don't have at least an email address, you can't do the smart plans with them, the ones that do the work for you, right? So that means having full information. So if you're not anywhere close to there, and some of you are, and some of you are beyond that, but are those contacts legitimate contacts with full contact information? Okay. So how many of you are feeling very confident about the current database that you have for your business next year? Okay. So how many of you would like to add good, solid contacts to your database for this next year? I would hope everybody's hand is going up. Okay. So we're going to do something right now that my coach suggested. So he suggested 10 minutes. I think I'm going to split the difference a little bit just for time's sake. So we're going to do this for 7 minutes. Okay. Here's the ground rules. Everybody get out a pen and paper. And this is an open book test, so to speak, okay? You can use social media, you can use your phone, you can use anything that you want to, but you are to write down as many names as you can think of, people that you know. That's the key. They cannot be fake names, they cannot be entertainers, they can't be a name just because it pops in your head. It has to be a human that you actually know. Everybody understand what we're doing? Okay. You have 7 minutes to write as many names as you can think of people you actually know. And there may be something in it for the person who has the most. All righty. How many did you come up with?
I came up with 27.
Awesome. Are any of those names already in your database?
No.
Fantastic. So you have 27 to add to your database. So make sure you add them today, this week, by the end of the day tomorrow, with all their contact information. And if you don't have it all, great reason to reach out. Good job, Rita. Val, how about you? You're muted.
Hi. I have 47 and I think they're all in my database. I'm trying to be pretty good about adding them to my database.
Okay. So of those 47, I would challenge you to see if you have all of the contact information.
Thanks.
Michelle? You're muted.
Having a great conversation with myself. It was 62 and some are in my database, but there are definitely some that are not.
Fantastic. So about how many of them do you think are not?
Probably a good 30-ish maybe.
Okay.
My little separation from church and real estate.
Awesome. So you have about 30 or so to put in there.
Yeah.
Justin, how about you?
I came up with 36. They're all in my database. When you say database, you mean phone or command?
Command.
Command 0.
Okay. Let's get them all in command.
Okay.
Get them all in command, because remember, the value of the database is the reach outs and all the touches and the smart plans. So your database is invaluable if you can't work it, right? Ernie, how about you?
It's still his writing.
Oh, what?
No, Muhammad said something, I think.
No, I said it's still his writing, the name of his
Oh,
connection.
no. I'm looking to see who's not in my, and so I got 57 and I've got 15 that aren't in my database, but and I just looked at, but there's like 3 or 4 that need to be purged from that because I know they already have an agent, but I'm still gonna.
Whoa. What's that
What?
have to do with anything?
I mean, as far as I've talked to them and, they've touched, but I guess I should still send them stuff, right?
So we're going to take a pause here before I get the rest of your numbers. 87% of this business is done by 11% of the agents in this country, the entire country. Why is that?
Because they don't contact them or they're not working it.
Yes. And about 84%, this is an old statistics, so I don't know what the exact number is this year, but this is close. 84% of all clients say they would work with their agent again, and only about 14% actually do. Why?
Because they're not top of mind and somebody else steals them.
Because somebody else connected with them when
not
their
stealing.
agent didn't. So I don't care if someone tells you they have an agent. That is not a reason for them not to go into your database. Now, when it comes to actually doing a deal, if they're working with an agent, if they have a signed contract with an agent, obviously, right? We're not suggesting you steal clients from people or step on toes. But we are suggesting that you don't leave them out of your database just because someone says they have an agent. That also might be just because they don't want to talk to you right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so they're in there, they have an agent in their family, but even then I've even talked to somebody and said, how busy are they or how good are they? Let's include them in the transaction, then we'll give them a referral fee and they can work with me.
Yeah, that's not a reason not to put someone in your database.
All right.
Let's no limiting beliefs allowed. Okay, Mohammed, how about you?
Well, I had 39 and I find out 7 of them is not on my list.
All right, good job. Demas?
I have like 20 and 10 and 10. 10 are not on the CRM, another 10 that I have to add, and I have to go through my phone, the complete phone, because I believe I have a lot of missing people that are not in my CRM right now.
Awesome. I love this. Rufina, were you able to? I know you're at the dentist.
Yes, I have 33. I think like 14 of them are in my database, but the rest are not.
Okay. So all of you have some homework to do. You all have people to add to your command database. Make sure that all of those people are in there with all the contact information. So I have a challenge for all of you here this week, and I want you back next week to report on your challenge. How many people, I want you to put in the chat, how many contacts will you commit with full information to add to your command database between now and next Thursday? And the number should be at least what you just now came up with. And I would say at a minimum, you should double that, if not triple that, for your commitment, because you only had 7 minutes to do this exercise. And if you need more help, there are memory joggers in the PC toolkit. Okay, and I'm going to screenshot this chat so we have our numbers that we're committing to. So everybody put your number in the chat. Nice. So remember, your database is your business. And so next week, of course, if you come with something, we're going to talk about that. But next week, we're going to mastermind around some maybe more unique ways that you can add to your database. I was given some things today that there was an agent that came to a coaching program with, I think they said 15 contacts from a different, 50 contacts for their entire database, and 40 of them were from an area that they moved from across the states, and how he was able to go from 0 business to closing 16 or 17 in 6 months. So we're going to talk about some unique ways that you can add to your database. We don't have enough time today to get into that discussion, but we are going to have that discussion next week. So I want you to be thinking of some unique ways that you can add to that conversation, and I'll share some of the things that we masterminded around. So with that, we don't have everybody's number in there yet. Make sure you get your number in there. And with that, any last thoughts, questions, comments to mastermind around before we go?
Do you see changes in the next year? Like, how do you feel?
That's a tough question. No one can really tell the future, right? And the forecasters are saying that they do expect an increase this next year. Things I've read, from different analysts, financial people, and whatnot, they are expecting rates to possibly go down based on some things. There's no way to know for sure, right? So I would encourage all of you to call those buyers that you've had on the fence, because rates are down right now quite a bit from where they were a few weeks ago. Call your buyers that have been on the fence, where, a 0.5 point, 3/4 of a point can make a difference in their payment for them to move forward. Just open those conversations back up. You never know what could happen with that. It's been being said that by the middle of next year, things will start looking up. We'll just have to keep watching and seeing. But here's what I can tell you. Doesn't matter what things are doing with interest rates. Doesn't matter what things are doing with prices. What matters is, are you talking to enough people that need to do real estate to grow your business? Because if we just worry about what the market's doing, we're not worrying enough about our activities and what we need to do. I would encourage you that all those people that you're going to add to your database this year, reach out to them, let them know that you are working on building your real estate business. Call them and say, you know what? This is actually a business call. I'm working on building my real estate business and helping people with their real estate needs. Who do you know that I should know? Any other last thoughts, comments, questions before we go? Hey, looking forward to next week and helping you find some new ways, creative ways to add to your database. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
Jody.
you.
Thank you, everyone.